everyone. I'm audible at the back? Right, so I'm Sarthak, and I'll be talking about this new runtime called Upadhyay. So basically, last month, a new runtime was released. For some reason, I don't know. They just keep releasing this stuff, and things not working. So apparently, it's a game changer, as my title. But what's the game? Let's talk a little bit about the game before thinking what does it change. There is this thing called JavaScript. You might have heard of it. It was started in 1995. I was born in 1995. JavaScript was born in 1995. Also, Lion King was released in 1995 on VHS, but it's fine. This guy called Brendan Eich, he created JavaScript in 10 days. Really. And if you have been working in JavaScript and you have used things like Twitter, Instagram, you might have seen news like this. And not everything, but some of it is related to that 10 days thing. Moving forward, 2010. Now, 15 years have passed. Microsoft decided that they will not follow the standard. They will build their own thing. Safari had their own slight tweaks. So we had jQuery combining everything so we could use it. And meanwhile, all this was going on. This guy decided, okay, we'll take this JavaScript. Microsoft is doing their own thing. Other people are doing their own thing. And what we'll do, take this mess, put it on the server. So this guy, he probably did more than 10 days, but he put that same thing on the server. Moving forward some more years, 2018, and the same guy appears again. He regrets it. What does he do? He makes Node.js with slight change. He takes the letters, turns them around, and makes Dino. So I was making these slides and I didn't mention Dino, so I just added these slides. I won't mention Dino anymore. Moving forward, present day. Actually last month, but game changer. Okay, now we have looked at the game. Now see the changes that it makes. Right. So there are a few problems in JavaScript. Right. The first problem, as I already mentioned, jQuery. jQuery was a framework, you can say, also a library. It was combining all the weird quirks of different browsers, so we could use it and actually just use it. And back when I was working in a Rails shop, I was not using JavaScript. I was using CoffeeScript. And I was not using HTML. I was using Haml. And this might be against the code of conduct, but Angular was also getting popular back then. Also, real. But when these things started coming up, we needed a bunch of other things. There's task runners like Gulp, there was Grunt, others, and Webpack, as mentioned by these guys in the previous. And does anyone know what that is? It's Bower. Back in the day, we used to install plugins, not with NPM, but with Bower. And of course, NPM came in. And we needed to test, so we had a test runner called Jest. Then Facebook decided NPM was bad, so they added Yarn. They also decided that dynamic types were bad, and static types were good, so they added Flow. Community took their time, they agreed, but they chose a different color. They went with TypeScript. Now we were building this thing on the servers, growing, and our applications were running in different Node versions. I still have an application that's running in Node 16. Whenever I update it to 18, it just breaks. I don't know why. So we have this Node version manager. And then this guy from across the pond at Vue.js, created this thing called wheat or white, depending. And currently its Vue plugin has less downloads than its React plugin. So, and wheat is just a combination of ES build and rollup. And of course it has its own test runner, vtest or ytest. Recently there is a new thing called npm instead of npm. It's supposed to be faster. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, it's TurboPack. So they decided Webpack was slow, so created TurboPack and also RSPack. Both are written in Rust. Both are supposed to be Webpack. They call like next versions. And I could not add, but Rollup also is also getting a new version called Roll Down, also written in Rust. So some might say this is a problem. So coming to problem 2. As this guy already mentioned, someone asked a question and this came up. CommonJS versus ES modules, import versus require. Has anybody used Chart.js, newer version? Can't use it. You can't use it. Coming to the next problem, problem number 3. Well, it's 343. Performance and a few other things. So, yeah. Actually, it's some other things, but Bun does not really solve concurrency. It does not do much for scalability. So, coming back to our problem, performance. Node.js is slow, kind of. And you can guess it because everything has been rewritten in Rust. There's this. This is an issue from Node.js GitHub repository. You can't see the title, but it says fs.promises the read file is 40% slower than fs read file. So promises version, the newer version, was very slow. This guy created this issue. And then if you zoom in, this guy called Jared Sumner, it's our next character. He created Bun. Why? Because Next.js was slow. That's it. There's an interview by him, and that's what he says. And he was like developing and coding in Next.js, the HMR or the hot reload was very, very slow. So he then tried to optimize it. He tried to improve the bundling. He tried a bunch of other things. And eventually he created a new runtime. So yeah, of course, that's the vision. So this is Bun. Yeah, that's their logo and their mascot. Right, so the first problem that we had, all those logos. How does Bun solve it? It tries. So instead of NVM, we have Bun upgrade. A Bun kind of supports a different model. It tries to keep backward compatible with itself, so you don't need versions. So you just type Bun upgrade and it gets you to the latest version. It has its own test runner. It has a bundler, so you don't longer need Webpack or Rollup. It has Bun run, so you don't need node mon or concurrently. Now the watch mode here is the normal file watcher. It looks for files and it actually creates a different process whenever the file change. But the hot mode is when there's not a new child process being created, but the code is being injected in the same process, so it's even faster. Now you might have also used Babel for your JSX conversion or your ES16 to ES15, whatever all those weird things happen in JavaScript. It just works. JSX just works. You don't need any third-party thing. Same with TypeScript. It just works. You don't need TS6 or any TS node or any TSC. You need TSC for the build, but for running it, you don't need it. Oh, sorry, you need TSC for the type checking, but you don't need for the build process. It also has its own installer. So yeah, npm, yarn, npm. They also get carried. We had problem number 2. Now you can see here, line 1 import, line 3 require. It works. It just works. Why couldn't we do this before? Well, it has one problem. You cannot use top level await if you use require, which is fair enough. Most packages you get from third party won't be doing that anyways, so it should be fine. But yeah, it still works. So So you can use Chart.js now. This is module resolution order of bun. It might be slightly different from Node.js, but yeah, it might be helpful. Okay, now before going to the performance part, there's some more things that bun does. It promises Node.js compatibility. So this is a thing. Right. So this is code FS, which is your Node thing for reading, writing file system from the file system, and it works. But if you want faster version, they have built it. Now, Dino had this problem in the beginning that you did not have FS on all of the Node APIs. They have added it now somewhat, but still, having this from the beginning is great. So basically, you can just add bun to your current files or your current projects, and it should mostly work. Not always. I just ported one of my React Native apps to bun. It was not a huge app, like a medium app. It worked. I did not need to do any changes somehow. It worked. Now you can go to this link to get your list of all the Node.js API that have been ported over, or which don't work, or which partially work. Right. Also, .env. You no longer need .env. There is also bun version for that. There's a bunch of other things. They have their own SQLite thing, and in Node.js currently there is a thing called better SQLite or better SQLite, which is the fastest kind of thing, and this is faster than that, or it's supposed to be faster. They have their FFI implementation, which basically lets you call foreign functions from, you can call a C function from inside this, or a Rust function if you like that, and it kind of is fast enough. They have, of course, the bun test, whole suite. If you have used like all those utility you would import from Jest, you could import directly without installing anything. It has mocking built in. It is crypto. It's not crypto, the cryptocurrency. It's the password hashing that thing. So it also has that. WebSockets also, and there is a thing called macros. I don't know what this is. It's not like Rust macros, something different. I think they might be going a little bit wayward on this one, but yeah, it's useful sometimes. Right, coming back, performance. So I just, performance is tested by benchmarks. So let's run some benchmarks. Okay, just a second. So first file. So okay, so can you see this? It's just one line console dot. So we'll just see how faster can one run this thing. And you might think, why are we testing this? It should be fast. But the thing is that when you run Node, it has to warm up. It has to get loaded into memory. So this will test what is the initial warm-up time that's faster than bun. Right. So let's run the bench. This is Hyperfine. This is a utility. I will just increase my numbers to remove the warm-up. Testing the warm-up. So I just run that file that we just saw, hello, using bun, Node, and Dino. Sorry, I missed the quote. 100. Okay. So it's running that file 100 times. So at the bottom, if you see, it's written bun.js, bun.js. It's 1.86 times faster than Dino and 3.68 times faster than Node. So even simple console.log is faster. Now let's go to a slightly harder test. So this thing is just reading a file, it's writing to a file, and then reading the file again. That's it. It's just new file IO operation and how fast it can be. But the thing is, I also have a file that's using the Bun APIs instead of the FS version of the Bun. So you see, Bun has implemented all your Node APIs, but it has also provided their own thing. So let's see how fast their own thing is also. I'll add warm up to this so that warm up does not affect much. I'll just run 100 times. So let's see. And Bun finished quite early. You see already it's more than twice. Do you know, Bun, right. So if you see the first one is Bun running using their Node version, their version of FS. The second is your Node. The third is Bun running their own FS implementation. Not FS, but their own file system. And their file system is faster than their FS 1.5 times, and which is faster approximately 4 times to Node. So even this is pretty fast. Right. So actually these benchmarks won't say much. You have to do a lot of other testings because like mathematics and all those things they can be optimized in very different ways, but we can't do that here, so I just gave a taste. Coming back. So what is Bun internally? Now you might know that Node.js is using the Chrome's V8 engine, and it's writing the Node APIs or the file system or the system APIs, OS APIs using C++. Bun uses Safari's WebKit or their JavaScript core and Zig for their runtime. Now WebKit, the fast boot up you saw, it's all WebKit. WebKit is known for their fast boot up time. They have very small cold start times, so that's a win that they get by default. Zig is one of those languages which is kind of trying to be a C successor like your Rust and stuff, and it's very low level. It's also C compatible, and it's almost C performance, so you can get highly performant code from this. There was not specific reasons why you could go for Rust over Zig. Mr. Jared just said he was more productive in Zig, so he went with Zig. So here are some benchmarks from their website. So you can see like Bun is 29 times faster than NPM. For the test suite, this ran the suite of Zord, which is a library, and it ran quite faster, 5x faster than VTest. And it's their bundler, which is faster than ESB, although I think that's just a decimal point. It doesn't matter much, but still, pretty fast. Right, so if you see those numbers, you might doubt, okay, how can everything be this good? Why could Node do this? Right, of course. So if you go to that list, there are lots of APIs that are still not compatible. So they say, okay, you can just drop in Node for Bun, but you can't really if you use specific Node APIs. And this is a guy who has written Fastify, if you might have used, and Pino, and he is also part of the Node.js core team, and he just wrote his thoughts on the releases and the things that work, that don't work with Node, or like drop-in replacement of Node. And you can check it out. Very interesting. Bun install. So bun install was very fast, 29 times faster than npm. But this guy again, view view. He has this nice thread going into detail about that and what compromises it makes. And it sometimes will break your things, because it, for example, one thing it does is if there is a locked version so basically, if you have ever used create next app at latest, now at latest gives you the latest version. Bun will not always do that. If it has the cached version, it gets it. There is a bug right now which they're working on, but right now, as far as I know, it's not fixed, so it just gets the locked version or the cached version instead of the latest version. And there are a few other quirks that you might run into, which they have gone for the performance. Backwards compatibility. Now, Node.js is a consortium, while Bun is VC backed, but they don't really need to support Node 10 or 12 APIs, or even backwards. So they have lots of things that Node is kind of still supporting, or kind of trying to be compatible, but Bun does not need to, so they can just get rid of some things for performance sake. WebKit. Now you see WebKit has a very fast load time. It has also a lot of drawbacks. Otherwise, why is not Chrome using it? One for such example is regex. Regex is very slow. So they are trying to build their own regex using Zig, and there are many certain things, like for example, some mathematical calculations, some utility calculations are much faster in V8 Cloud. Okay, so you might say, okay, I want to deploy, but it's not supported yet. You go to deploy on Vercel and they don't support it. They support the install, but they don't support the runtime. You can install, create your node modules, but you can't run on Bun. And most of them won't support unless you're building your own thing. If you're going for a serverless, I don't think any major provider currently supports the runtime. Windows, there is no Windows support. You should not expect either. Right, so now, so Bun install. I would say Bun install that has its quirks, but it's pretty smooth. And especially if you are kind of a indie hacker, you have lots of projects on your MacBook or your machine, and there's lots of node modules. It's a very good idea because it just caches. You don't have all those node modules piling up your storage. You're getting your storage full and just going and deleting in these node modules. So you won't run into that problem, and it's actually very fast. And if you know the quirks, it can be used right away. And this is one of the things I would say you can try. I would recommend. Bun test is also quite good. Unless you're using one of those node APIs that don't work yet with Bun, I think this is also good to go. Now, Bun time or runtime. This is a kind of tricky area. It will depend on specific use case. If you're using some kind of heavy data applications, it might not be best idea. But if you're using a simple web app, you can use this. Like Next.js Remix, all the main things are supported quite well because that was their priority, to support these main things. So if you're using all those mainstream things, you should not have a problem. But as soon as you start to go away from the mainstream, you might be using some APIs that they're not supported. So you might run into problems. Bundler. Bundler is currently in beta, but it's faster than ES build. So if you're using something like Rollup or Webpack, you might think about it. Yeah, and it's pretty good plugin system. So you might have to tinker about it. But yeah, it's also not very bad state. But it's in beta, so maybe wait for the stable. And I think that's about it from my side. This is me, and that was the talk. Thank you.